Hello and welcome to the Patreon channel of True Crime Rocket Science. This is something new, a three-parter dealing with the aftermath to essentially the phone data review. There's one episode remaining, episode 50, in the phone data review, but on our way to getting there, I'm going to be doing 3 episodes dealing with the aftermath of the phone data review. The first episode, which is August 21st, obviously 2 years ago today, Chris Watts was formally charged with the murders of his wife and 2 daughters. It was his second appearance at court in a sort of trial scenario, and I think many of us were kind of anticipating that we were going to see quite a lot of him in court, that this was going to be a very big court case, one of the biggest in high-profile true crime history in America. Little did we know that he would appear 2 more times, and both those times would be quite surprising. There would be the surprise announcement of the plea deal at a status conference, and the status conference was actually a surprise in itself. It was announced on a Friday when most people are sort of going off on their weekends, and then the original, I think it was the preliminary hearing, became the sentencing hearing, and then it was all over. It was all over except Watts hadn't really told the truth, and the surprising thing was that there was a plea deal without expecting Watts really to say anything extra. And it actually turned out that the plea deal was in the works really early on, and that is something I'm going to deal with as part of this Aftermath mini-series. So in the previous episode of the phone data review, which was the very last entry, and I think because it was the very last entry, Nicole Kessinger gets a kind of almost the same status as Revelation in the Bible. It sort of has this kind of power because it's the final entry, and there's controversy there. It's Kessinger looking about how much money another mistress made in a similar case. Also, did people hate Amber Frey? And I spoke about that in the previous episode, but this is now 2 days later. That was what she Googled on the Sunday, the 19th, and that's where the phone data review terminates. But it's not as though things didn't go on when the phone data review stopped. Things did go on, including texts, including messages, and all the rest. So over the weekend, a weekend that was supposed to be spent celebrating a gender reveal, well, that was originally the date for the gender reveal. I don't know how many people know this, but the gender reveal that was supposed to be sort of over the weekend, maybe the Saturday, it was actually moved to the Monday at the last moment. I don't know how many of you know that. Chris Watts kind of said, can we cancel the gender reveal? It was cancelled, and then there was like a negotiation. Then the gender reveal was still on as long as no one spoke about it, and it was going to be the Monday, and of course it never happened. And this was part of the way Watts successfully manipulated Shanann. Anyway, this weekend that had just passed was supposed to have been, by then the gender reveal should have happened. It should have been celebrated. The Shanann's extended family would have known about it, and a lot of her thrivers, a lot of her friends in Aberdeen and so on. But subsequently that was then changed, and the weekend then would have become a romantic marriage-saving break in Aspen. But that didn't happen either. Instead, there was a candlelit vigil which was held outside 2825 Saratoga Trail, This vigil was held to remember Shanann, Bella, and Cece, and Nico, whose bodies had been recovered at an Anadarko well site earlier in the week. They had been missing since Monday morning. Now, this was the following week after that, Monday and then Tuesday. Hundreds gathered on the lawn of the big brown house as the sun was setting on the Saturday afternoon, around about the time, well, either that there should have been a gender reveal or Shanann and Chris Watts were supposed to be in. Shanann thought they were going to be in Aspen. In fact, she said to Eddie, I think it was Sunday, she said something like, I'm going to be very busy today, and I'm going to be MIA this time next week, and she's right. But she had no idea that she was going to be MIA the way that she was MIA.
A huge and heartbreaking show of support tonight in Frederick. Their neighborhood hosted a candlelight vigil for Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts. The pregnant mother and her 2 young daughters were murdered this week.
Jeff Todd joins us live near that family home tonight. And Jeff, really an incredible response out there.
Karen, we were able to speak with Shanann's family. Somebody held up a video stream and they were able to watch it in North Carolina. Sandy, Shannann's mom, said she was amazed at how many people, strangers, came out. There's still a small gathering going on right now. This was an opportunity for the heartbroken community to come together and begin to heal.
So 2 years later, the question is, has the community healed? And one of the ways that communities do heal is when there's an accounting for something that happened, and that happens through a trial. That happens through telling the truth. Not just the person accused, but other people as well. Because there are 2 sides to every story. There's the side of the perpetrator, and there's also the circumstances that he was in. Whatever Watts' plans for his mistress, he spent his weekend in jail as well. You know, they were supposed to go apartment hunting the week following the murders, right? Not this week, the previous week. Instead, he was in jail by basically the middle of the week. And at the same time that he spent this weekend in jail, basically his first weekend in jail, Nicole Kessinger enjoyed her final weekend of anonymity. So for Nicole Kessinger, the clock was actually kind of ticking. It would be kind of a strange anonymity, because when it started seeping into the fabric that this was the person, this was the mysterious mistress, only some people realized it, only some people were sort of aware of it. Crime Rocket was one of a handful of people who mentioned her name. But it took until, and then there were others that speculated, could it be Amanda McMahon? Was he bisexual? Was he actually cheating on Shanann with a man? And so that kind of distracted from Kessinger. But when it got to very late in the whole story, around about, I think, November 15th or so, then Nicole Kessinger broke her silence and spoke to the Denver Post. And then it sort of became, that is actually when it became official news. That's how long it took. In any event, this weekend was her final weekend where most people couldn't say for sure who this other person was. No one knew then that Watts even had a mistress. No one knew for sure that he actually had a mistress. They weren't quite sure what this was all about. Bear in mind, at this point, the discovery documents weren't released. We didn't have access to the polygraph or what coders said or any of that. So at this point in the equation, kind of in real time, we still weren't sure what was actually going on. Did he have a mistress? What was kind of going on? And then everything changed. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit after the break. I'm going to ask the guys on YouTube to subscribe to the channel, to like, share, leave a comment. And before we get started here on Patreon, that is going to be the end of the preview for you guys. And then we're going to deal with what happens on Monday, which is when the warrantless arrest affidavit was released. Do you remember that? The date that it was actually released, well, it was the 20th. And then he appeared in court the next day. And that affidavit actually made no bones about the fact that Watts was